Hi friends, today is Tuesday, March 2nd, and with Reading with Principal Rabb-Patterson, we're working on Women, 50 Amazing American Women Who Changed the World, written by Laurie Calkhoven, illustrated by Patricia Castelao. All right, yesterday we had Pocahontas, and we had Abigail Adams. Today we're going to read about and learn about Sacagawea. Fact file. Born around 1788 in Lemhi County, Idaho. Spouse, Toussaint Charbonneau. Children, John Baptiste and Lizette. Died December 20th, 1812 in Castelao, South Dakota. Sacagawea, the daughter of Shoshone Indian chief, was born in what is now Idaho. We know almost nothing about her early years. When she was 12 years old, she was kidnapped by a war party of Hidatsa Indians. They took her to North Dakota and sold her to Toussaint Charbonneau, a French-Canadian fur trader who made Sacagawea one of his wives. In November 1804, the Lewis and Clark expedition, see a sidebar, built a fort near the Hidatsa village where Sacagawea lived. Lewis and Clark needed Shoshone horses to cross the Bitterroot Mountains. They thought Sacagawea could be helpful to them when it came time to trade with the Shoshone. Sacagawea gave birth to her son John Baptiste Charbonneau in the American fort on February 11, 1805. With their baby on her back, Sacagawea became the only woman to join the expedition. In August, the expedition found a band of Shoshone. Their leader was Sacagawea's brother. After their emotional reunion, Sacagawea helped Lewis and Clark negotiate with her brother and the tribe to buy the horses they need. In November 1805, the expedition reached the Pacific Ocean. On the journey home, Sacagawea led the group on Shoshone trails she remembered from her childhood. The expedition returned to Sacagawea's Hidatsa village on August 14, 1806. She was paid nothing for her work. Her husband was given $500.33 and 320 acres of land. 6 years later, in August 1812, Sacagawea gave birth to her daughter Lizette. When Sacagawea died 4 months later, William Clark adopted her 2 children. Lewis and Clark. In 1803, President Thomas Jefferson asked Meriwether Lewis to lead an expedition across western North America. Lewis's co-leader was William Clark. Their job was to map the rivers, make friends with Native Americans, and look for an easy water route from the East Coast to the West Coast. Sacagawea's role. Sacagawea was an important member of the expedition. Native American tribes became friendly when they saw her, because war parties never travel with women. She also collected plants and pickled berries for food and medicine. A game of telephone. Sacagawea spoke Shoshone and Hidatsa. Her husband spoke Hidatsa and French. Another member of the party spoke French and English. He made the final translations for Captains Lewis and Clark. And that was Sacagawea. Next, we're going to learn about Sojourner Truth. Fact file. Born November 1797 in Ulster County, New York. Spouse, Thomas. Children, Diane, Peter, Elizabeth, Sophia, and a possible 5th child. Died November 26, 1883 in Battle Creek, Michigan. Sojourner Truth was born a slave named Isabel Baumfree. Her mother had 12 other children, most of whom were sold to different owners. Sojourner herself was sold away from her parents when she was 9. Her master was cruel and often hit her. She slept in a cold, dark basement. Eventually, she was sold to a new owner named John Dumont. Sojourner spent 17 years with Dumont family. She married another slave named Thomas and had 5 children. When a law was passed that would have freed her, Sojourner's owner refused to let her go, so she ran away with her only child, who had not been sold. Later, she successfully fought to get back to her son Peter, who had been sold to an owner in Alabama. Sojourner had religious visions, including one that urged her to change her name to Sojourner Truth. She began to travel around the North preaching. Whites and blacks came together to hear her speak. Sojourner worked with other abolitionists and spoke out against slavery. She was also an advocate for women's rights. Sojourner never stopped fighting for rights for black men and for all women. She died at the age of 86, still speaking out for freedom and equality for all. Meeting President Lincoln. During the Civil War, Sojourner led efforts to provide food, education, and employment to ex-slaves. In 1864, she met with President Abraham Lincoln to discuss the future of those newly free people. She described Lincoln as a great and good man who treated her with great kindness and cordiality. Sojourner on Mars. NASA named a Mars rover after Sojourner Truth. The small robot landed on Mars aboard the Pathfinder spacecrafter on July 4th, 1997. Sojourner set out to take pictures, perform science experiments, and send information back to Earth. The vehicle is still sojourning on the surface of the red planet. What's in a name? Sojourner means travel. Sojourner Truth was the perfect name for someone who traveled from town to town to speak the truth. And that was Sojourner Truth, abolitionist. So today we learned about Sacagawea and Sojourner Truth. Have a good evening, friends.